learn the big news involving Ousmane Dembele, the latest news involving Hudson Odoi, Gvardiol, Lukaku, and a US goalkeeping sensation that the club are hoping to sign. So we have a ton of things to break down, discuss. Hit the like button. Please help me get 2k likes for today's video and get involved in the comments to share your thoughts and opinions too, without wasting no more time. So let's kick things off and let's quickly discuss the latest involving Hudson Odoi. This report came from the Daily Mail, and they report that at this point in time, Hudson Odoi is being put through his paces in brutal solo training sessions at Cobham, of course, to get ready for pre-season. They say that he is still battling the Achilles injury he suffered whilst Mauricio Sarri was still our manager. He's been battling setbacks, that's why he's been out of the team, and due to this, it means that Hudson Odoi has absolutely cancelled the summer holidays and is literally in Cobham to train and get ready for next season. So I have to start by saying that he has an elite mentality, and it's such a shame that due to pure misfortune, he sustained that injury in Sarri's season, because when he was playing on the right side of that wing, you guys, we know the performances he was putting in. We saw his dribbling ability, the attacking threat he had, and to suffer an injury that quickly for someone where, you know, he has a repeated history of being willing to put the hard work in, to train hard, to only focus on getting the maximum best out of his career. I feel for the guy, I have to admit. We know last summer as well, so he cut back his holiday plans even quicker to come back for pre-season to impress Tuchel. It clearly worked. Of course, we know Dortmund at the time last season were hoping to sign him on loan. Tuchel said, no, you'll get minutes, and I think that really explains why Hudson Odoi was finally getting minutes on the left wing in his best position compared to being played as a wing back under Tuchel when he first took over the club. So let's hope that Hudson Odoi, he has time on his side. He can still come back. I know that in football it's quite popular and it's quite easy to think that once a player's out the limelight, you can just quickly give up on them. It doesn't matter, move on, that's that, discard them, bring in the new one. But Hudson Odoi and all Cobham guys, they have a real desire to make it here, and I think that's the type of mentality that you just can't really ignore. So Hudson, it seems he's got plans for the World Cup to get his career back on fire by, of course, playing for Ghana. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Lamptey, Hudson Odoi, repping the Black Star shirts. Let's go. And, I just really hope that for the effort Hudson Odoi puts in, he'll finally get the fortune he deserves. So let's move on now to the next story. And we have to talk about Ousmane Dembele, because I think collectively we're all kind of sensing that we have an incredible opportunity to sign him and get this deal done. We were holding talks to the player back in January when his future with Barcelona was still undecided. You're not holding talks for no reason, and naturally those talks won't be ending anytime soon. They'll only keep on continuing. Now, I like to talk about this Twitter account quite a lot because, for me, my own observations, I'm seeing a lot of things that get reported very early that ends up being the facts. Of course, it's H.Grams. I feel like I got to be fair. I'm going to send a link to her Twitter account in the description so you guys can follow her and see the updates yourself. But essentially, she's reporting that this deal for Ousmane Dembele is essentially done and dusted. She reports that Ousmane Dembele has agreed on the final terms with us and is, ready now to sign for us for the summer. And as she said in another tweet, Dembele has already committed to signing for us and has already promised Tuchel a month ago that he was ready to sign for us in the summer. Personal terms have been agreed, and of course the deal essentially, I guess, has been wrapped up. So, of course, we have to wait for the other official reports to come out. But, listen, normally I would never ever quote any Twitter accounts whatsoever. I would never do that. You guys, of course, with this job, I have Twitter open on the side every single day. I need to have to see what's happening as well too. And through like the sheer volume amount of time spent on Twitter, you notice a lot of like fake in the know accounts, and you can deduct who the fake ones and the real ones are quite easily and, quite regularly. So with her, listen, the tweets she puts out end up being right in the future. I don't know who her connects are, but common sense does suggest that we have something here now. Now, we have to be real. Ideally, Ousmane Dembele, if Barcelona had money and didn't have to raise so much funds before the end of this month, ideally he'd prefer to stay there. But thank God Barcelona completely ruined their finances. It's given an amazing opportunity now to sign players from them right now. And with Dembele on the move, not many clubs can afford his wages. It seems Paris Saint-Germain are out the running to sign him as well too. And the competition for the player isn't as high at this point in time. You guys, I don't want to get too carried away, but me personally, I've always kind of felt like he will be a guy that we do sign. This is my own personal hunch, my own personal intuition. literally take it as that. You don't have to take it more seriously. It's really up to you. But, you know, I'm getting a sense that I think something's happening here. And I feel like this deal will be getting some big news on this story very soon. So you guys, we now move on to the next report. Let's quickly discuss the fact that Antonio Rudiger officially signed for Real Madrid, of course officially registered for them, as he released on Instagram. I'm proud to announce that I'll be joining Real Madrid. I'm super excited for all the challenges ahead, and I can't wait to play my first games for this huge club. And as we can see, Reece James showing some support as well too. And, you know, I guess what I can say is, you know, good luck to Rudiger. It's a shame that, for me personally, I'm always going to feel like if we were a lot more assertive, faster and earlier, we could have agreed contractual terms or found some type of agreement with the player. I just think naturally as things go on and go on and go on, what are you really telling players? No one's going to wait for nothing. And when you're getting incredible financial offers, like incredible signing on fees for you, your brother who's your agent as well too, top wages, top clauses, etc, etc, we just couldn't compete on a financial scale. And, you know, if we had just maybe bumped the offers a lot earlier, the Madrids aren't even in the running because this is done and wrapped. So good luck to Rudiger. And moving on to the next story, let's talk Romelu Lukaku. More reports have come out suggesting that there's a big possibility, which I think all of us kind of knew logically, that Lukaku could be staying, of course, you know, with the money that we signed him for, world record fee for the club, incredible wages as well too. In a market post-pandemic, but not many clubs have the finances to be able to like afford deals like this. Of course, there's a big possibility that we have to accept that he is going to stay and remain at the club. One personal insight I can tell you guys, take this as an exclusive if you want, is on the relationship between him and Thomas Tuchel. Now I can tell you guys this for a fact, there really isn't any bad blood between them. It's not been a case of, you know, Lukaku being angry with Tuchel, Tuchel angry with Lukaku. It literally is just like an ideological difference between how Lukaku feels he should be used and how Tuchel feels the team should be playing. Sometimes these things happen. There could be arguments that from like an organizational perspective, you know, you're hoping that when you're committing this amount of money for a player that you've got everything patterned. You're hoping that you've already addressed potential concerns and you know exactly what you're spending your money on. So that is slightly worrying. But with the new board now, who we know are going to eventually bring in their new strategies, of course, data analysis, to be able to sign and target the best players for us, I'm really hoping that we really like dramatically reduce these types of mistakes. I have heard that Lukaku maybe ideally would prefer to have maybe a bit more like faith shown in him from Tuchel, a bit more love shown towards the player as well too. We know that Lukaku, you know, a lot of his career success comes from managers that really believe in him. You're looking at Martinez, you're looking at Conte. But for me, I think the main reason behind, the real reason behind his successes for these two managers is because they understand how to use the player. And what I'm saying is, I don't really see any difference that much between like Lukaku and a Jamie Vardy. I think that if you look at like players in terms of like the groups they're in terms of the roles they play, you know, Lukaku, Vardy, players like this are in the same type of like family tree when it comes to strikers. The advantage that separates Lukaku from every other player that plays his role is that he has kind of like a superhuman strength for the role. I mean, the guy is big, he's powerful, he's got pace, great acceleration. These things help. With managers like your Martinez for the national team as well too, and Antonio Conte, they understood how to use him and how to complement that Vardy style of his game. But with other clubs like we've seen with Man United and us last season, they focus more on his strength as the priority behind his game. And I think this is where he struggles, because then he becomes very limited in terms of what he can do. And I say this because the reality is this: the most important thing we can do this summer, even out of signing Dembele's, signing anyone, is getting the future right with Lukaku. If he's staying, which could be a possibility, you have to use him properly and there's no excuses. And I say this because it's not even because I like the player or nothing like that. I'm thinking about the long-term club finances and how you can be impacted in future transfer windows when you have a player you just can't get off the books. It happens all the time. Look at Barcelona currently. If hypothetically Lukaku had the same season again for next season, we'll never ever get any money back for the player. This is a player earning over 300 bags a week. You know, 12 million a year it costs to actually even keep him at the club. What situation could we be in if we don't move him on this summer, he stays, he disappoints again, and then we're essentially stuck and left with the player. So like I'm saying, if he stays, you have to get the best out of him. I think it's actually a manager's job. You know, every manager needs to get the best out of every player. You know, I'm looking at the attack, and I've always said this very early on. I'd be one of the first to express my concerns surrounding our attack, and when only like 2 out of 6 attacking players are really banging in, something's wrong there, because I'm sorry, not all 6 of these guys aren't good enough. That's just fantasy talk, and I'll never accept it. If Lukaku was potentially to leave, it seems like Inter Milan is the best opportunity, and of course they have interest in reclaiming their former striker. They have a deadline of up to the end of this month to make something happen, and it's based on a tax break rule in Italy called the Growth Decree. This literally came in place in 2019 because Serie A was trying to attract some, big foreign stars to come to the league to like strengthen the brand, the reputation, etc, etc. And essentially anyone who's 20 years old plus, who's earning over $1 million a year, they don't have to pay the highest tax rates on their money. So ideally, this would be incredible for helping to balance the books for Inter Milan. Comes down to what agreements can be made. Let's see what happens, but it's simply this. If he stays, we have to commit to him to get the best out of him. And if he doesn't want to stay, then we have to sell him at all costs, loan him at all costs, and take whatever small costs that we have to take, because in the long run, you guys, it will bite you in the ass. And look at clubs like Barcelona. We end with the final 2 stories. A quick update on Gvardiol, another report from the Daily Mail, and we know that Leipzig were very adamant that Gvardiol won't be sold, and the player ideally himself too prefer to remain at the club as well for growth reasons. I mean, he's not complete, but with players like this, we know with super high potential, with WONDERKIDs, early exposure ends up being amazing for their careers. But currently, it does seem like maybe Leipzig could be forced to sell due to the sheer interest in the player. It's not a guarantee though, but maybe it's not as cut in stone as it was originally reported. I think personally we can afford to be a bit more patient with this one and see how he progresses. He's still very young, even if we made a move for him in the following windows. As long as we are early with our interest and keep communication up with his like reps, the club, etc, etc, we do have a very good relationship with RB Leipzig, then I think something could happen. But first thing, ideally, when you have a player that, for me, I kind of see him as like the same potential and ability in Levi Colwill, it just doesn't make sense to spend 50 mil plus potentially on someone who has the exact same quality as a guy that came from your academy for free. So now we end things with a final story. Very reputable source in the UK. Very good writers on that website, you guys. And they talk about this young American goalkeeping sensation called Gabriel Slonina. I think he's like 18, 19 now, 6'4". He plays for Chicago Fire. I think he's having like his breakout season as well too, playing in goal. Chicago Fire might not be amazing. I think they're like right at the bottom in the MLS table. But normally with players like this, they get a lot of coaches excited in coaching circles because they see the potential. And with someone like Slonina, it's no surprise why we'd be showing interest. I do have to say this too. Football in America is improving a lot more. Like the advancements they've made in the past 10 years, and with the quality of coaches they have now, don't be surprised to see a lot more, talents coming out from the States, because it seems like they're taking things a bit more serious and there's more money to be invested in the football. So Slonina could be part of another potential generation of great USA players, and he has a ton of interest from multiple clubs all across Europe. Bayern Munich are big admirers as well too. Currently, Wolves might be the favourites, I guess, because they could offer him minutes straight away. Now with this story, reported by Football London, due to the sanctions, it killed all talks for the deal at that point in time, and this is why other clubs have a slight advantage now. It seemed like we were very close to getting a deal finalised where we would have signed the player and loaned him out maybe for a season or even 2 seasons at Chicago Fire to get more minutes, because he's only just made his breakout season. But with talent like this, you have to cultivate that, and the club could draw from their experience from Thibaut Courtois when we first signed him from Ghent. Of course, he was playing for them a bit more consistently, I'd say, than Slonina at the time, but our roadmap for the player came through, and he's one of the greatest goalkeepers on the planet, without a doubt. I mean, that final performance against Liverpool was an all-time great, and the club may be thinking, Mendy eventually is going to get old. If we can have some great top options in the goalkeeping position, owned by the club, but you're of course developing outside of it, that we can draw to in the future, especially with like highly rated talents like Slonina, this could be very smart business. And it kind of makes sense as well as a football club to be able to, like, you know, grow your scouting range of regions like the States, where when you see it's on the rise, it makes advantage to be in there very early. Because that's the same thing we did in Belgian football when we introduced the world to your De Bruyne's, Courtois, Lukaku's, etc, etc. So there's a lot of, you know, football sense and business reasoning behind a move for the player. In the States, they do have a very good record of producing goalkeepers. You're looking at like Howard's, Guzman, a few other keepers as well. Maybe it's because in a lot of their sports, like in basketball, American football, etc, etc, it does require things like, you know, hand-eye coordination, you know, good jumping, athleticism, etc, etc. And I guess that does translate very well if you're a goalkeeper. So let's see what happens with this. He does seem like a very exciting talent that has, you know, a big room to grow and has big potential too. So you guys on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Expect there to be more different videos coming out starting from tomorrow. I hope you guys are going to enjoy them. I'm going to keep it a secret for now, so just stay tuned. And on that note, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.